breakthrough format in our market. And for this, I think, in my opinion, we have to create an international atmosphere for development, and we have to organize, it's holidays. Microphones.
Oh, you sit on the cable.
And the second thing is if we can do together a change of mind as broadcasters, I think this could be the next step. And as everybody you pointed out, I agree.
Okay, well, we have a broadcaster here, but in the UK things changed for us when, certainly in terms of rights. How did you see that, Paul, when that change came about? How did that affect you when you were thinking about commissioning, or that time you weren't commissioning, but how would that affect the job that you do now?
Well, you're right, John. I was a producer at the time, and it was a critical moment when PACT, the British Producers Association, lobbied very successfully to win this battle of ownership of rights, and it transformed the business. And at the same time, the American changed their famous FinCIN, financial syndication legislation, in a similar way to give much more power to the creative studio or the producer, take it away from the broadcaster. So it unleashed, I think, a huge wave of creativity, and I think it's one of the reasons you constantly ask yourselves in these kind of festivals, in this country particularly, as Stefan touched on earlier, why are you so comparatively unsuccessful in terms of export? And clearly one of the fundamental reasons, I think there is a language issue, it has to be said, but one of the fundamental reasons is, what's the point of you being successful? Because you won't make any money out of it anyway. People try much harder when they're going to get rich on the end result. So that freeing up of the market meant that each individual producer, and Paul Smith is a fantastic example of it. Not only was Millionaire this huge worldwide hit, it was sold in virtually every territory by Paul himself going out there. At one point I spoke to Andrea Wong just after it had gone to ABC, and I said, because Paul is a very old friend of mine, and it was so astonishing to me that he was this guru suddenly. And I said to Andrea, how important is Paul Smith in the kind of Disney ABC hierarchy? And she said, just after Mickey Mouse. That was one guy. That wouldn't have happened in the old days when Thames Distribution or whoever would have had one of 50 game show formats on its books, and okay, with those kind of numbers people were going to come and buy it, but wouldn't have had the passion and the instinct.
He was prepared to take the risk because he knew if the risk paid off, the reward would be huge. But that's one of the reasons he was able to take the risk, wasn't it?
He now visits every month to Cannes to see his new yacht being just finished off and constructed. Seriously.
Perhaps this is a point that I promised early on where we might have some questions. We've been sitting and listening, but now would be the chance if there's anybody who would like to put a question to direct the conversation. Now would be the time. If you'd like to raise your hand, if... No? Okay. Jakob, you've got a question. Good.
It's not a question. It's a sort of observation that relates to the points that were made here. I'm aware that somebody who's spent their whole life working in the format industry. What I'm going to say sounds a bit contradictory, but it's not. The British environment currently, and given that Britain is not my home territory as a format person, I work very much internationally, and I have relatively few contacts inside the British industry. The British independent sector is responsible for more travelling formats globally than anything else in the world. So far more, for example, than the broadcasters inside Britain. The British independent sector. What this country, like any country, needs to do is to have faith in the creativity and demand a quality of the producers inside it in terms of the ideas it develops. And that's important not because, so what I'm saying sounds as if I'm speaking kind of contrary to a company like Fremantle. I'm not. It's actually important to us